It's your birthday. Grandma got you a shiny new Roblox card. You boot up your favorite Roblox FPS game, Phantom Forces. You grab your hug barrel drink thing like it's 2008 all over again, and you're living it up. But oh no, you're only level 25, and you aren't sure what weapon to use yet. You see all of these super shiny, cool, high-level weapons and wonder, is it worth it? Should I spend the Robux Grandma got me? Should I dare fall for the trap of higher level weapon means better weapon? Well, no. But also, maybe. I've made a ton of videos in the past about the best low-level weapons and the best weapons to pre-buy in Phantom Forces, and even like good attachments that are low level and stuff, and pretty much everything in between. And while I basically always rate weapons based on stock performance, I never really talk about the best stock weapons, ones that you can pre-buy or unlock and they're just instantly good without requiring any attachments at all. So in today's video, we're going to go over just that, a list of some of the best weapons in Phantom Forces that you don't have to do a single thing for other than unlock them. Side note, these are my opinions. Got it? Sweet. Video time. Now, man, oh man, could I not rave about the MP5K enough? This thing is just genuinely the best low-level weapon in the game. Being unlocked at level 0, this is the first SMG that you get. And I'm sure pretty much all of you guys know that. But I can't rave enough about this thing, dude. Like, you could just see, this weapon just has no recoil at all. And I have no attachments on this thing. And really, I would say that it should genuinely stay that way. I have tried putting attachments on this. I have tried putting even just, like, red dots and stuff on it. Because typically, I don't really like using iron sights with weapons. But I found that these iron sights are really perfect in the sense that you see that front post right there? Wherever you see that front post is exactly where you're going to see those bullets go for the most part, for like most close to medium engagements. And I found that red dots just don't really line up with the hit marker correctly. It's kind of weird to explain, but that front post is always going to line up with whatever you're shooting at. So honestly, as a level 0 weapon, I would advise never equip anything on this weapon until it is probably inevitably changed, of course. Otherwise, as the level like 230 something that I am, I would advise keeping this weapon stock. And you don't even have to buy this thing, dude. It's free. it's awesome. Now, kind of moving up a little bit in levels here, we're going to have the level 28 unlock of the L22. Possibly, if not probably, if not likely, if not most likely, if not guaranteed, the most ugly weapon in Phantom Forces. This thing is heinous, bro. But if there's one thing I can say about this weapon, it is one of the best weapons in the entire game. And you might be kind of wondering how that is, but if you have eyeballs, you can see exactly what's so good about this. Again, this is a video based on stock weapon performance. Look at the recoil. Nothing. No recoil at all. No attachments. Literally nothing. Stock irons and everything. Now, the L22 is genuinely a weapon that can laser beam the crap out of people with no attachments at all. And much like the MP5K, I have found that putting attachments genuinely seems to worsen this weapon. Genuinely, I'm on Second Storm right now, and I can just immediately laser beam. No attachments. This is so unbelievably overpowered. And with a minimum of 24 damage, this thing basically is a guaranteed 4-shot torso to anyone who has taken any semblance of damage. This is genuinely one of the hidden gems of Phantom Forces, something that is barely used, but just genuinely deserves so much more attention. Now, if you've been watching my channel for a good amount of time, it's pretty much no secret that I really do like a lot of the SCAR weapons in Phantom Forces, and for really good reason at that too. They pretty much all boast very, very low recoil. They all boast super high damage, really good range potential regardless of the weapon, and the SCAR PDW is kind of no exception to that. Now, this being a carbine unlocked at just level 32, man, just after the L22, this thing does not remotely disappoint. While maybe not necessarily as good to me as the L22 is, and while I wouldn't necessarily say about this that you should never put any attachments on it, this is something I could always happily use stock and never bat an eye. So for when it has relatively open iron sights, I wouldn't necessarily call them good, but they get the job done, right? As you can see there, it does have a minimum of 20 damage, which also, you know, kind of gets the job done. That damage, unfortunately, is not super far, but what is relatively far is the super high up-close damage being 36, which means that it is a guaranteed 3-shot kill to bare minimum of 60 studs. And you guys know how much I love things that can 3-hit kill. Now, the SCAR PDW may not be the most attractive weapon. It may not have the highest fire rate. It may not have the lowest recoil. It may not have the nicest firing sound, but what it does have is really, really, really fun potential on it without needing any attachments to make it actually extremely good. Not to mention about the SCAR PDW that, again, completely stock, you have a guaranteed 2-tap headshot out to 60 studs. Like, literally, that's ridiculous. climbing the ranks further, I know that you guys saw this coming. The BFG. The BFG is a weapon I would say I prefer using stock. I don't like putting attachments on this. The most that I'll ever do is like remove stock, but you don't have to. This thing is just completely broken, completely stock. If you somehow don't know what the BFG is, it's basically always a guaranteed one-shot kill. Like, that just is the gimmick with the sniper, is that it is always basically going to be a guaranteed one-shot kill. And it is amazing for being just a rank 65 unlock, dude. I know this is probably more of a me thing, but I always feel like snipers in Phantom Forces perform best with their stock scopes on them. And definitely for me, having thousands of kills on basically all of the snipers, I can tell you right now, each one I've pretty much learned the drop-off for the most part, and I just feel that they just feel the most natural with their stock scopes on them. Like, obviously, because it's a sniper, you don't need to put barrel attachments. You don't need a muzzle brake. If you want a suppressor, you could, but you don't need to. And probably to a lot of people's dismay, the BFG is going to be a weapon that I always recommend everybody pre-buy as soon as they save up enough credits for. If you like one-shot snipers, you're going to love this. And man, is it just so much fun. Like, honestly, I think everyone knows enough about the BFG to know whether they like it or not. Everyone knows what it is. It's just good. It's just good. And you should always use the BFG, and you should always use it stock. Hot take, I'm sure, but I love this thing. The AK-74 is a weapon that I think is probably at least in the top 3, if not top 2, if not the best assault rifle in Phantom Forces. Very hot take. I am well aware of that. But there are plenty of reasons to absolutely adore the AK-74. For one, you've got crazy high close-up damage out to 70 studs being a guaranteed 3-shot, and a minimum of just 23 damage, which is fairly respectable. Unfortunately, it does have kind of the stock 1.4 head and a 1.0 torso multipliers, but I mean, for an assault rifle, that's kind of to be expected. Now, while the Scar PDW and the AK-74 really don't have anything at all in common other than they are guns, the one thing that I will say about them both is that you can put attachments on these weapons. It's not like they won't benefit from it, unlike some of the others like the L22 and the MP5K. But what I will say is you would never ever have to put attachments on this. I would happily run the AK-74 completely stock if I had to, because it's just so busted. While in real life I do like AK sights, they don't look great in Phantom Forces. They're very kind of clunky and put together. They're usable. And the fairly low recoil allows for some really good accuracy, provided you don't miss all your shots like I just did. My bad, dudes. Now, moving on to the shotguns, yes, I'm a little bit biased because this shotgun has my name in it. It's not named after me like a lot of you guys seem to think for some weird reason. But the SomeSteven's DB is a weapon that I absolutely love running stock. Not only is it freaking beautiful, and not only does it do a ton of damage, but it has something that none of the other shotguns really do. And that is going to be a fire mode selector, turning it into a burst shotgun. Now you might be thinking, what does like a 150-year-old shotgun need a burst mode for? And that is going to be because you can see the recoil is extremely high, but both of your shells are gone. So you pretty much turn the SomeSteven's DB into a shotgun version of the BFG. You don't need sights on this. You can see plenty with this. You even have an alt mode if you want to play it like it's freaking Doom. And generally, I kind of like to play it like this, to be honest. It's a fun little sight mode right there. But it pretty much allows you to snipe with the SomeSteven's DB with just the stock ammo even. Now, you're not going to be hitting like cross maps, but like that right there is a great example of the like medium distance that you get out of this thing. Now, if I were to ever recommend any attachments, the only one that I would personally ever use would be like slugs and then maybe a scope with it, because if you put that on burst, it basically turns it into a BFG. But otherwise, this weapon is just an absolute monster. But of course, if you do want to run the weapon without the burst mode, you totally can. It's still a fantastic shotgun for that. Going back to the SMGs, I would 10 times out of 10 always recommend the AK-74U as far as stock weapons go. Being a rank 88 unlock, it is getting a little bit steep for the SMGs because there are so many fantastic ones before this. But I'm an AK guy, and these sights just are very funny looking. They're pretty much the same as the AK-74, but I find I'm just able to aim through them a tiny bit better. I don't quite know why that is, but regardless, I can, and this thing is just an absolute beast. Now, you may not get the kind of no recoil that a lot of the other weapons have, but you're still getting solid recoil performance. You're getting amazing damage. And come on, dude, it's a tiny AK. Like, this thing's awesome. Unlike a lot of the other SMGs, you do have relatively high range damage as well, boasting 20 damage out to 150 studs, and a guaranteed 3-shot kill out to right around 79 studs. Yeah, well, a little bit closer to maybe 70, actually. 3-shot kill at 70 studs, though, like I've kind of made pretty clear in this video thus far, 3-hit kill is a huge thing for me. Now, lastly, a weapon that I would say, much like the first couple that we talked about, should be always used completely stock, and that is going to be the G11, as your eyes can probably already tell. Now, that's with one caveat. I'd always say it's a good idea to use the reflector scope on it. It is a completely free scope to get, requiring 0 kills. Not only does it bring back a lot of Black Ops 1 nostalgia for me personally, but it really just is the better way to use it, especially with the alt-aim like I have right here. Now, if you throw things like compensators or muzzle boosters on this, it really messes with its burst mode, which basically makes it fire 3 rounds at 2100 RPM. But for being one of the highest level unlocks in the game, you really do get a unique experience out of this thing. Now, on the surface, damage does look relatively low, but it does have really good head and torso multipliers here, allowing for a guaranteed 4-shot out to maximum range and a guaranteed 3-shot headshot. So with that 2100 RPM, if you manage to land a solid burst on somebody, which, as you can see, all 3 rounds go in the same freaking spot, as long as you can understand the drop-off, you can very, very easily get yourself a ton of headshot kills. And while most people might not like it, there is also an automatic mode for it that fires at 460 RPM. Now, this is a mode that I particularly do like with this weapon just because it has no recoil at all while still boasting all those super high damage stats, but with also a pretty large magazine capacity as well. This just is a really good way to use it. And if you're okay with a slower fire rate with the trade-off of like super high damage, it's a great weapon. I'm always going to recommend this to you. Yeah, I love the G11. Now, with that said, that is going to be a list of a few weapons in Phantom Forces that I think are just absolutely amazing stock. And some of them even coming with really, really good stock attachments for them, allowing you to actually have a lot more versatility with them. I think they're just great weapons overall. Now, is Phantom Forces pay to win? I would say no. You can play just as good with a level 0 weapon as you can with a level 211 weapon, whether they have attachments or not. As far as would I recommend any of these in particular for you to pre-buy them or anything, well, that's going to have to be up to you because it all depends on your play style, weapons that you like, categories that you like and such. Personally, I'd say it's more rewarding to grind for weapons over buying them. However, pre-buying with credits is always okay because they're credits that you earned. You do what you want with them. So we've come to the end of the video. I hope that you guys enjoyed. If you did, consider leaving a like and subscribing because you're not going to want to miss all the content that I've got coming up for Phantom Forces and other games on Roblox. If you guys have any video ideas of your own, consider letting me know in the comments section below, and maybe your video idea will get chosen and it'll be featured in a video. With that said, I hope that you guys have a fantastic day. Huge shout out to the channel members who help me make videos like this as often as I do possible. And if you want to become one too, you can do so with the join button below the video or with the link in the description or pinned comment. Yeah, it's pretty much going to be it for today's video, guys. Have a great one and peace.